Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make traditional Spanakopita, which is spinach cheese pie. And this is from Ypres area. So you're going to watch me roll out the phyllo, wash the spinach, and show you how it's all done and how you can make this simple meal at home. So I just picked up a whole bunch of fresh spinach, also some fresh dill and some green onions. And you can literally just see that this was just picked. So right now I'm actually just gonna start cleaning it. So just taking off the ends and going through and making sure that everything is clean before I rinse it. So you'll see as we do this, it takes a little bit of time, but we want to make sure all of the leaves are good and nothing is spoiled, and we don't need the hard ends of it as well. So just go through and clean it and wash it, and we'll add all the rest of the toppings as we need. Okay, so I just went through all the spinach and we now have a huge bowl here of nice spinach. So for this right now, we're gonna be adding some green onions and some fresh dill. Now you can add as much dill as you want or as little, so you'll see. Let's go. Okay, so we have some green onions here and then the fresh dill, like I said. So we're just basically gonna chop up everything into small pieces, and then I'm gonna wash everything all together, really dry it out, and then we'll add all the rest of the ingredients for the actual pita. So we'll add the feta, we'll add our olive oil, our salt, everything that we need before we make our actual phyllo.
So with all these ingredients, it's quite simple. It just takes some time and some
patience to cut everything.
Yeah,
so I mean, you can use what you have in abundance, and I know your mom would also say that, you know what, if she didn't have fresh dill, she didn't use it. Sometimes maybe you have leeks. Instead of using green onions, you can put from fresh leeks. And a lot of traditionally they used a lot of the Spanakopitas and pitas like that, because it was more of post-war type of food, even during the war. So whatever they could find, and they would make the phyllo and put the greens of what they found. So it doesn't need to be just like the spinach, the onions, and the dill. You can put whatever sort of vegetable that you tend to have, and make it like that too.
Yeah, I'm sure this goes back thousands of years. I mean, it's simple ingredients. It's flour, olive oil, everything that was abundant back in the time, and people just would put it together for a quick meal. Or it's actually quite portable too. I mean, after you cook it, you can bring it with you on your travels or wherever you go. And again, like you said, during times of famine, it was the simplest of ingredients, and it was plentiful in everyone's garden, right?
Yeah, and that's why we still see it nowadays too. So Ypres area, where you guys are from, is where it was known for their actual Spanakopita. So now all the other areas in Greece do it as well, except a lot have gone away, let's say, changed from the traditional phyllo, and have gone to more of an sfolia, puff pastry,
the manufactured stuff.
Yeah, and so here, I rather honestly certain areas, in Yanina area and Ypres area, for sure you can find still the old school way, and being able to purchase it. But a lot of other areas within Greece, you don't find the phyllo version. So like I said today, when I felt like making it, we called up our local, farmer little kiosk there, told him I wanted to make it, and he delivered everything super fresh. And you could see there's there wasn't one spoiled spinach leaf or anything. So I'm like, you know what, let's make it. We have all the abundance, the freshness here, and I'll show you guys how to do it, because it actually is quite easy.
All right, very well. So what's the next step?
So after we cut all of this, I'm going to cut some of the dill.
All right, let's go to it.
Okay, so now I'm just going to add a little bit of fresh dill. Again, if you don't like dill, don't worry, you don't have to add it. If you like a lot of dill, then cut it and add as much as you like. So for us, I think this is a perfect amount. And honestly, like you see, I'm just using my hands to cut things. It doesn't need to be done all perfect. And we're just gonna mix everything in, wash it, and then we'll add the rest of the ingredients.
All right.
Okay, so I washed everything and now I just have a clean towel and I'm just really gonna make sure that all of the spinach is dry. If you make it like the Spanakopita with all this water inside of it, it's just gonna add more moisture and the actual phyllo will just become soggy. So you really, really, really need to dry it out.
You can use a strainer too if you have a whatchamacallit, one of those spinner things.
Yeah, you can use the strainer as well, but we need to make sure that like there's zero moisture. So I always like to also use a cloth, a dish towel, to make sure that there's like zero moisture, like I said, no water.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just gonna grab another dishcloth and just again make sure that there's zero moisture in the spinach. And then all of my dried one is gonna go into a separate pan before adding the final steps. Okay, so now all of the spinach is washed and dried. I'm gonna put it back in the bowl and we're gonna add some feta, some olive oil, and some salt.
Where's the feta from?
This one is actually from Ypres, the area of where the Spanakopita is from.
There you go.
Okay, so we have our Greek extra virgin olive oil here. So I'm just going to add some to this whole bowl. Here we go. Next, of course, salt that we need. Now with this, once I add the feta cheese, I actually will try it to make sure it does have enough salt because we want to make sure, obviously, that it has good taste. Of course, our feta. So let's just crumble this up into small pieces. And when we mix everything together, it will crumble up even more. And for all of this, I'll add about 3 full, like pre-sliced.
So it's about 300 grams. That's a kilo in there, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And you want to use the good, let's be honest, Greek feta, right?
Yeah, and obviously even from the area that it's from too makes a difference. This one is a creamier type of feta as well, so I like that balance with the Spanakopita, but if you like a drier one, you can try it. I personally haven't, so I don't know how the taste would be.
It's just to people's liking in terms of how much fat, right? But this one here is a nice, like you said, creamy. And yeah, it's got a good amount of fat in there too, which is really good for your
And we might add
body.
some more. So I just like to really mix it up and make sure when you're mixing it, you're almost like massaging, let's say, the actual like leaves, because we want the flavor, we want everything to be really, really well mixed up. And that's where all the taste is, right? So really just make sure that you have enough. If you need to add some more feta, add some more feta to it.
And you do that by taste?
Yeah, so I'm gonna try it in a bit just to see if it has enough salt and enough like feta for me, and then I add it to my personal preference, but like that's what you can do too. So some people do like it very, very cheesy, so you know, if you're one of those people, then definitely add more cheese.
Nice. So no real rules to this. It's ad lib. It's as you go.
No, and like we were talking about at the beginning, you know, it was kind of like a traditionally more of like a village style, like a dish. So, you know, sometimes if they didn't have cheese, they didn't put cheese in there, right? So it really depends on the abundance and what they actually had. So that's kind of why there's really, I want to say like no rules, but for obviously for like the traditional Spanakopita, of course, it does have feta cheese in it.
Nice.
Okay, so I am just going to try a bit and I'm going to see how it tastes for the salt. Okay, I want a little bit more feta personally, and I want a little bit more salt. So I'm just going to wash my hands first before I add those two things. Okay, so like I said, touch more salt for me, and I'm going to put about another half of the slice of the feta. Again, I'll mix it up just to make sure everything is all within. Okay, so I like it now, and I just like to add a little bit of rice. So my mother-in-law taught me this trick, and she said just in case it'll absorb some of the actual like moisture from the spinach, so your phyllo will be crispy. So you don't need much. I'm just going to rinse it first, obviously, and then I'm going to add it in and mix it up. Okay, so just mix up a little bit of rice. And again, this is not really a traditional thing, but when my mother-in-law explained the reason why, I just liked it and did it. And so you won't really have like chunks of rice like a spanakopita, but you'll just have a little bit of rice again, just to absorb any of that extra moisture that the spinach is giving. Okay, so now we're going to be making the phyllo. So, paano na fixing the phyllo? So this one is, of course, just a regular flour, and then we're going to need some olive oil, a little bit of sea salt, and then I do like to add a little bit of apple cider vinegar. So I don't really tend to measure, but we're going to try for today. So to the clean bowl, we're going to add 2 cups of flour first. Then I'm going to add a little bit of sea salt, a little bit of apple cider vinegar. This makes it crunchy, the phyllo, so that's why I add it in. A little bit of olive oil, so that's probably about like 1.5 tablespoons. And then, of course, we're going to add our filtered water. So we just need it to be a nice texture. So I'm just going to mix it, and you'll see here we want like a dough-like consistency. So if we need to add some more water, then I'm going to do so if I need to.
It's going to be kind of difficult to write out a recipe that's very accurate in terms of measurements with this.
Yes, I mean, I learned from your mom, and she didn't have a recipe written down, so as she was trying to do it, I was taking it out of the bowl and adding things. But when you see with your eyes what the texture and how it's supposed to look and feel, it makes it easier to understand, that's for sure.
So what, do you think you need some more water?
A touch more, yeah. Okay, so this one made about for 2, so I'm just going to do it for 2 layers. So I'm just going to put those ones aside, and I'm just going to do 1 cup of flour as a 1 more dose, because I really want 3 full layers of phyllo.
And I guess it depends on how big the
pan is.
pan.
I actually have the pan right here, so you can see it's quite big, especially because we do have so much filling. So that's why I underestimated. So I have all of the 3 layers ready. So I'm just going to work with 1 right now. So the 2 are going to go to the other bowl. And you're just going to need some flour. And we're going to start off with our hands and just think of like a pizza dough, right? So that's what we are going to do first and foremost to flatten it and get it thin. Now I have to improvise because I don't have a actual like rolling pin. But I did find a glass bottle, which I completely washed to make sure it's clean. So this is what I'm going to be using. You can use a wine bottle too, whatever you have. If you have okay, so I've opened it up a little bit easier for now the next step. And I'm just really making sure that there's a lot of flour on both sides. And then now we are going to be using the traditional rod here. So you really have to make sure there's flour on here, otherwise it will get stuck, okay? And you're just going to basically glide your hands back and forth, rolling it, and it's just going to slowly start to open up. If you get little holes, that's fine. You can always take the dough and kind of, make it back together. Otherwise, it's not a huge deal unless it's like right in the middle, then you will have to start over. So there's no real like right or wrong, but you just need to make sure that they have a lot of flour.
So with this simple Phyllo recipe, mind you, it's more laborious and time consuming. You can use this for anything. You can make, what other pitas can you make, Laura?
Yeah, like I was saying at the beginning, you can do, even with a leek pita, you can even do with like zucchinis, you can do the traditional, like even just tiropita. So the Phyllo is like your basic like Phyllo recipe. And then honestly, what you want to do with the inside is dependent on what you feel like, what you have.
And you can use this the same Phyllo you use for when you make kotopita, right?
Yep, exactly.
Your
So
chicken,
exactly, you can make the chicken kotopita. You can even do it with lamb or meat. You can do it with anything really. Just have to make sure that you have enough Phyllo.
And then you're going to open that to be as wide as the pan?
Yeah, even
or
wider actually, so that we actually roll it in. So you'll see. Okay, so the Phyllo is ready for this first layer. I'm just going to add a touch more flour before I actually pick it up. Now, when I'm going to move it onto the pan, I am going to roll it onto the stick because obviously it's much easier to go like this. Now, I'm going to bring the pan here and we're just going to basically unroll it onto our pan like so. If little holes happen, don't worry, we got other layers to go. Okay, so I just rolled out a small one and I cut it in half, and I just want to put it as the bottom part here for like just again for the extra like crispiness for the bottom. So again, you can change things as you need, and I just wanted to have extra bottom.
That also prevent it from becoming too soggy if the
yes yeah.
Okay,
so I'm just gonna add a touch of olive oil to this layer before I add the next Phyllo on top of here. So just spreading it out with my fingers. So I'm just added a little bit of olive oil to the layer of Phyllo before I add my next layer here. So I'm just going to fold it and unroll it like I did the other round, like so.
It's actually quite satisfying.
It is actually, and now I'm just gonna make sure that there's like no air, so that's all just gonna come out. And then I'm going to add all of the spinach there. Okay, so of course Phyllo is ready, and now we get to add our lovely spinach mixture to it. So we're just gonna go and make sure it's all spread very evenly, and you'll see it's already like gone down in the size, which is perfect, and there's no moisture, which is what we want because we don't want the Phyllo to get soggy. So again, just make sure you spread it evenly.
And then what's next? Last
and then
layer
we're going to add
top?
the top layer of Phyllo to this. Okay, so I moved the rack in the middle of the oven, and I'm just going to set it. So we want it set to 175, which is 350, and then for convection here. Okay, so as the oven is heating up, I'm gonna add just the final other half that I had from before to the top layer here. Okay, and then we are going to just basically take in the sides of the Phyllo and just start to bring it in towards the middle of the whole entire Spanakopita. We're gonna add a touch of olive oil to this as well. And then I'm going to add a sprinkle of water, and I'm gonna poke it with some, like a fork or knife, just to allow for the steam to escape. So now we're gonna add some of the olive oil.
It's interesting because this recipe is it's traditional in namesake, but also in the way you're doing, just by pouring olive oil into your hand. There's no teaspoon here, teaspoon there. It's very raw and natural.
It is, and that's why it's like, you know, to measure, it's a little bit hard because I learned only with my eyes too, so it's hard to know, okay, how much cups of this, how much, you know, spinach do we really use? So, you know, you kind of, there is a little bit of a guessing game too. I'm just ripping some of the extra phyllo and just adding it to the middle too. Again, like you said, it's raw, it's nice, and you know, there's somewhat of a recipe, but somewhat of what's in your mind too.
So it's creative, it's artwork basically.
Yeah, and then now I just add the final like olive oil, and then I'm gonna add a touch of water. So this just helps again for the burning. So I just take it and I just like literally.
To avoid the burning, you mean?
To avoid burning, yes, the phyllo. Okay, and then we're going to add some muck. So I'm just going to grab a fork and we're just going to make some little holes to allow, again, for that steam from the spinach to escape so that our phyllo becomes nice and crispy. So if you don't do this, that's where you could start getting a lot of the steam from the spinach not escaping and causing more of the soggy phyllo. It still tastes good if it becomes soggy, but we want to try and make this crispy again. Okay, so the oven is ready. So this is gonna go in now for 1 hour. So I'm gonna set the timer and come back to it. Okay, so the timer just went off, and if there was smell vision, oh, you would only love it. So look how beautiful this Spanakopita looks. So this has to rest before we can actually even cut it or anything. So I'm just gonna leave it here on the stove top and let it sit to cool down. And then when it's ready, I'm gonna show you guys how it is. Okay, so it is ready. I'm just gonna take out this big piece right here and put it on this plate. Voila, so you can see all of the spinach inside and the phyllo on the top. Enjoy, guys.